Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another crypto video. Today we have some very important update on Luna, as there's something very important happening later tonight and the repercussions I'll discuss with you guys in this video. So for all of you guys that do not know, tonight there's gonna be a vote on whether or not the revival plan 2.0 of Luna is gonna pull through or not. And there's a lot of text to be covered here, but all you need to know for right now is that Do Kwon is going for a new proposal to not really do anything about the burn, not really do anything about the current Luna, but to just basically say, hey, we're going to have Luna Classic, which is the Luna that we all know right now, and a new Terra Luna, and here's the token distribution for it. The vote on this one is going to start today over in Asia time. Again, right now is the 17th for the majority of us, but a little bit later at night for the people in Europe, probably somewhere in the midday anywhere in the US, and already a little bit early in the morning over in Korea or Singapore, wherever the guys are doing it at. They just said it's Asia time. Then again, looking at a lot of this right here, they are working at +8. And also looking at this specific time frame and looking at the previous decisions they've made, it's not really crazy if they actually give us an update at 4 a.m. Their own time, which means maybe about 12 or 11 p.m. or no, potentially even a little bit earlier than that over in Europe. And again, guys, that means that a vote is going to be out on whether or not to go for the Luna Revival Plan 2.0. But multiple different other users have said only 1 out of 50 want to fork it. Because once more, how a fork basically works is that you go from one network to the other. You have both these coins coexisting. Yes, you'll keep your Luna. Yes, you'll keep your old UST. But you'll also get a new token. And how exactly much of that new token you're going to get, I'll explain in this video. Once more, if this is all given, that it actually is confirmed that it's going to go through. As once more, the majority of people think it cannot be saved anymore because Do Kwon is making some very strange decisions. Even I posted earlier on Twitter that about 90% of the community is against this new Luna chain proposal. And if you look at the feedback under these tweets as well, you'd start to understand people are really not hyped up about this. And you can see here, under the revival plan, a person held a vote as to which 90% said, this ain't my style. And more people are starting to look into theories about whether or not this is all an inside job, or whether or not he basically planned this or does not really want to save people. Maybe he's getting too stressed out. We've seen earlier that Binance's CZ does not really agree with him fully. Then again, people are speculating that Binance is in on the plan as well. But the LFG and I think the TFL, or at least one of those guys, has actually denied all these allegations, and I don't want to go too much into allegations just now. I just want to show you guys what's been kind of going on, confirmed, and then what the applications of that are going to be. One thing that's for certain, though, is that Do Kwon is retweeting a lot of these validators who are pretty excited about a migration. A lot of these guys are saying, hey, we'll definitely support the new launch of the new chain. We're sure going to be here, all excited. And that's in contrast to what a lot of the community members were telling me. Many of you guys were saying in the comment section down below that the majority of the validators would quit and would most likely not help to basically change it all over. But I honestly doubt that. I honestly think a lot of these guys will just come over to kind of see what Do Kwon has to offer. As staying at the current chain without any new proposal is nothing, right? And then forking might be in their best interest too if they want to get some money back. However, I digress. Let's dive into this little spreadsheet that I made. But understand that I'm not a professional at this, alright? I took a little bit of data and fetched a couple of my own conclusions. I may be wrong. Please check the comments section first. I will most likely pin a comment if I'm finding out some very big inaccuracies or so. I've not really looked into this too deeply. This cost me like about 5 minutes or so to make. Please don't trust this 1000% for two main reasons. One, it's not confirmed that Luna 2.0 is going to come. My finger is outside the screen. And two, because I may be a little bit stupid. And also, guys, I'm working with whatever knowledge that I have and whatever knowledge I could find. But for example, this all bonded and unbonded Luna, well, we'll get to that in just a second. Just wait it out. For my info, I mainly used two sources, which is Masari for all the Terra USD information, and then Masari as well for all the actual Terra/Luna information from earlier and from now, as we obviously needed to get to know the supply. But let's first hit the basis. What am I talking about? Well, the new token is supposedly going to have about 1 billion Luna tokens. It says right here, 25% to community poll controlled by state governance. So straight at the bat, we can kind of write off about 250 million tokens. Then we have about 1% for essential developer emergency allocation, no lockup. Now, the lockup is not relevant from the get-go. I'll talk about why the lockup is relevant later, but let's just say about 5% as well is going to developers, so that's about 300 million tokens not to be accounted for right now. Then we get to the interesting part. 35% all bonded and unbonded Luna minus the TFL at pre-attack snapshot. That's all going to be going to us, basically. The thing is, however, with my calculations, I've kind of included the TFL because, well, I'm not really sure how much they had. The reason I'm saying that is because as of this moment, the specific wallet that they provided to exclude has about 290 million Luna inside of it. Then again, I'm not too sure if a lot of this was added recently or before, and since I'd otherwise have to do so much digging, I'm taking like the quote-unquote worst scenario, and it can only get a lot better from this. Alright, after a little while of waiting, I still could not get the exact transaction data as to what transactions came in or out. If you so feel pleased to go ahead and check every incoming and outgoing transaction for this specific wallet, please make your way. Then again, I just do not know. I'm taking it at face value with the easiest data possible, excluding absolutely nothing for a worst case scenario. Because let's come back to the model, all right? What it says right here is 35% of the entire supply is going to all unbonded and bonded Luna minus TFL at pre-attack snapshot. At the worst case, this is actually 290 million Luna, which leaves only 50 million Luna for the holders left. It could be, but I honestly do not know. So it could be as bad as just 1 Luna, it could be as bad as 290 million Luna, but that will of course really change how much Luna you're going to get in the new system. But let's take it anywhere between those two, and the difference is pretty easy to calculate. If the value is that we just keep them included, they had, let's say 0, then you're going to get about 1 new Luna for every Luna you had before on the 7th of May. If it turns out that they did have the whole chunk of Luna, the whole 290 million, and that's all excluded, even the stuff they've delegated, I guess, all the Luna, then easily it comes out to about 290 million off of this, leaves 50 million left, which is about 7, let's say. So that means you get about 7 Luna for every Luna you held in the past, but it's somewhere in between. I know this is a really big number, but that's because I just am not sure exactly how much the TFL at pre-attack snapshot had, and I'm not exactly sure how to find it. Maybe in a different video I'll come to a better estimation, or maybe somebody in the comment section will be able to let us know. Then it says this part right here. For wallets with less than 1 million, there's a 1-year cliff and 2-year vesting thereafter. What this basically means is if you had less than 1 million Luna, you're going to have to wait 1 year to get any of these tokens. So how it works is for any Luna you had before, you're going to get 1 Luna in this newer chain. And you're going to have to wait a year though before you see any single cent of it. And then after 1 year, over the next 2 years, you're going to get pieces. And this could be linear every single day. It could be linear every single week, every single month, every single quarter. We don't know what the exact unlock schedule is looking like, but it's basically going to be given to you over the next 2 years after 1 entire year of waiting. For whales with more than 1 million Luna, which is again at that point about $80 million to $100 million, they have to wait a year as well. And then over the next 4 years, they're going to be getting their capital. Then we're moving over though to the 10 and 25%, the most interesting sections. This 10% section is basically for all the new Luna holders. It is going to be done at the launch snapshot. And what it reads is 10% unlocked to Genesis, 90% over 2 years thereafter. It basically means the moment the new chain comes live, the 27th, you're going to get 10% of your tokens immediately. And then over the next 2 years, you're going to be getting 90% of the rest, basically, the rest. Once more, exactly how over those 2 years, I do not know. Since the value of Luna has kind of crashed down and they're not really naming any exclusions, they're not naming that the TFL is also going to be excluded at this point. I'm just going to assume that every single Luna in circulation right now is included, which leaves to about 6.5 trillion over the new value of about 100 million, right? So about 1/10 of the total supply. This leaves you with about 0.00001 Luna for every Luna that you have right now. We'll do some more calculations with that in just a second. And then there's another 25% section, which is basically for all UST holders as of this moment. UST holders at the launch snapshot, 10% in collected Genesis, rest vested over the next 2 years, is the same thing as for current Luna holders. You're going to get 10% the moment the chain goes live, and then the rest of the 90% over the next couple of 2 years. So with that, there was a supply I cannot say. There is going to be a supply the 27th. The Luna is also the 27th, right? As we don't know exactly the supply at that point, but it's about an average-ish, right? It's most likely not going to increase by too much over the next couple of days. And the same thing for UST. It can decrease, it can increase, but let's say it stays around the same. It's about 11.27 billion at the time that I currently checked. Once more, right now you can go to CoinMarketCap. You'll see it's about 11.28 billion. That's exactly what I used to determine this. And relatively then, over the 250 million new coins, you're going to get about 0.02 of the new Luna per dollar that you have, if I'm not mistaken. So that means you need about, I don't know, $45 to get one Luna. And not 45 actual dollars, 45 UST, which is about $4.50 then, I guess, right? Maybe. Well, having said that, here's a little example. If you, and this is again, the only thing that I'm really uncertain about, even though all these are uncertain points, as we don't know the Luna supply on the 27th, and we don't know the UST supply on the 27th, if this Luna supply is at some point accurate, which I don't think it will be because we have to minus the TFL at pre-attack snapshot, which can make a completely different number then. If we use the number where we assume the TFL had nothing as a worst case scenario, this would basically lead to these numbers. If you had 10 Luna before, so basically at the 7th of May, you have 1 million Luna now, and you have about 10,000 UST right now, which again is right now about $1,000. The million is not sure how much money that's supposed to be, and 10 Luna before was I think $800 or so, let's say. Then that would total you to get about 250 of the new Luna in the 1 billion supply Luna. When will you get this, you might ask? Well, if we look at the schedule, the announcement came out the 17th, the vote is going to be tomorrow, and then basically the 27th is when things are going to be snapshot and launched as well. There's a couple things to understand though, all right? It's mostly about the numbers right here. You might see 250 and think, wow, so that specific 27th, they're going to get 250 Luna? Well, not exactly. You actually got to see it this way. For the entire 10 to potentially 70 Luna in this example, again, if we use between 1 and 7 as a number there, it's a big difference, but I still don't know the best one. And so that's the biggest variable here that's just very, very difficult for me to find out. Again, there are ways, but I just do not know exactly how. Any source I have that could show the transaction data just does not load. The other websites are not so nice to see the transaction data. So if any of you guys can provide that, I will maybe make an update later about the situation. There might even be more that I'm missing about this whole situation. But let's just keep it simple for right now to give you guys some food for thought, all right? I might be wrong on some stuff, and I'll just accept that right now, all the roasting and stuff. Let's continue on. If we use these numbers still, again, even though I'm not perfectly happy with them, this 10 Luna to, again, 70 or whatever, you'll get after 1 year. But not all at once, no. Then over the next 2 years, you'll get this number spread out. So basically at the start, you're going to get nothing from this part. From all the Luna that you have right now, you're going to get about 10% at the start, which in this example means you're going to get about 1.5 Luna from the get-go. And from the lower number, again, we get about 221 if we have 10,000 UST. So at that point, that means we get about 22 Luna from that or so at the start. And then over the next 2 years, that will be spread to us. So after a little while, you keep getting more and more Luna, as again, every week, every month or so, or every quarter, they're going to be giving out the rest of the Luna that we specified before. But hopefully you guys get by now that it's an interesting change. You're going to get Luna if you are holding anything right now. You're going to get some at least. How much? Well, it depends on a lot of different factors. Again, I cannot perfectly calculate it just quite yet without all the data. But I'll most likely be changing up this spreadsheet, and I will share it somewhere if you guys would want that. Make sure you join Telegram. And yeah, once more, this is all keep in the back of our heads that the vote is going to be positive or something of this sort is going to happen. It can still change up, as this is most likely not even his final version. There's still a good chance something's going to change. We've heard before from the guys, some of the validators, that they don't want to do this upgrade. Then again, it's a majority vote, right? So if the majority of people like this, it will pull through. Some people have compared it to different chains doing the same sort of upgrade. Again, I think it's hard to compare because a lot of these other ones, there's not the founder that's saying, let's skip this, let's go somewhere else. It is some derivatives or some a little bit lower ranking people who don't like the way in which the founder and whatnot are taking it. So again, if the validators come together and actually want to do a different fork than Do Kwon, it's possible, but we'll have to see exactly how that goes on. This is happening tonight though, the vote. The actual shift and the actual snapshot and whatnot, they're not happening until the 27th, but the vote is happening in a couple of hours, so hopefully you guys are prepared for that. Again, it could actually be as late as about 20 hours or so from now, because again, we're using Korea or Singapore time at +8, which again could be 11:59 p.m. the 18th, but usually he does his announcements very early in the morning, so Again, I'm basing that upon like the small amount of announcements he's made, so I cannot determine that, but we shall see. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully this was insightful. Make sure you press the like button and subscribe if you enjoy it. And maybe you think Luna's dead, maybe you don't, but this is still, I think, pretty useful.